Hello again, everyone. Welcome to another Around the Town of Branford with Henry and Frank. I'm Frank Toohill. It's a beautiful day here. We're standing in the parking lot at the Joe Trapasso Community Center, which came out beautiful. It was totally redone from top to bottom. And I'm with Branford's Recreation Director, Alex Paluzzi Jr. You know, you must be very proud of the building, right? Because you were involved with it
Yeah,
intimately.
yeah, I was, Frank. And actually, I started in the old building as a 5-year-old in a Games for Fun program, which we had on Saturdays. Because back in the day, we didn't really have programs for kids that they were home with their moms and stuff. Different type of, different times back then. Back in the '60s and '70s. And so that was what we had for that point. Now we have programs for kids that are birth to seniors.
Yeah.
And really, one thing that I really that was the start, Frank. That was the start. That was like 61 years ago that I was in the original community house when they opened up in '63 under Joe Trapasso, my mentor, and the legendary Joe Trapasso, who was here director for 42 and a half years. And from that point on, I stayed involved with those Games for Fun program on Saturdays because that's what was available. Now, even sports-wise, they start at 3 years old. In soccer, we start, back then in those days, we started at 9 years old with youth football and soccer and basketball. And then when I started coming here, Joe and I met Joe Trapasso there, and he was big about volunteering, even at that young age. So I used to keep the scorebook for him in the annual Frank J. Kinney Senior Boys Invitational Basketball Tournament, and as well as the Joan G. Bradley Girls Invitational Basketball Tournaments, which we just celebrated our 50th year this past season. And next year, in 2025, will be the 75th annual basketball tournament. So I've been involved, since I was back at 10 years old. So that's a long time, with the tournaments that I was involved in. So that's how I got started here, Frank.
It's incredible. So that's your whole life, Alex, has been here, right?
Yeah, it's been a way of life for me, and I've loved it. I've made it. I can remember when I was in 8th grade, 12, 13 years old, I was at St. Mary's School, which I still feel I've received the core of my education. Starting there, my parents had 4 boys, and they wanted to keep us in sports in a private school at that time, which I think did really well for us. And that's where it kind of started. I remember looking out the window daydreaming, saying, yeah, I knew Joe Trapasso. I said, geez, I'd like to have his job someday. And little did I know that, many years later in 1993 that I would be taken over for Joe. And I stuck with him, and I was the director of the Stony Creek Community Center on March 20th, 1982. And a month later, I got promoted to the director of men's and boys activities there. And then 2 years later, to the assistant director, and then just before Joe left, they elevated me to the associate director of Joe, and they recommended me. Judy Gott was in office at the time.
Yeah.
I had her support, also had the support of the Board of Recreation, who actually had the responsibility of hiring the director of Parks and Recreation. They've only had 2 in 75 years. That's what I'm really proud of, that Joe and I are the only 2 directors of Parks and Recreation for both these community houses. 75 years, that's kind of unheard of,
Oh, yeah.
So I learned from the best.
Yeah.
It probably took me 10 years to get on my feet, truthfully, to build the department back up. And I think we went to, Joe taught me to just, he always said, demand the impossible. That was his saying.
Yeah.
And my saying is, be the best you can be. So that's what I try to emulate from what Joe T had taught me. I learned from one of the best in the country. And then it became a 7-day-a-week job, which it is still today. And I know that's what it deserves. And we've come such a long way. And Joe would have been so proud of Foot Park back in 2015, that we garnered for the town for all the residents of this community forever.
Yeah, he'd be so proud of you too, Alex. As you said, when you took over, it was a great program then, but you've expanded it from top to bottom, and it's an outstanding program here for the town of Branford and all its townspeople. Now, Alex, I saw in the paper there's a big event coming at the end of this year, and so I mean, what's going to happen?
So actually, Frank, I did put my notice in of retirement last week,
Oh
and
my gosh, we're going to lose you as
it's
director.
fine. Hey, look, Joe. The shameful thing nowadays is the community house is the Joe Trapasso Community House, and the only thing that as time goes on and we start to age, and we have all this talent of our the newer generations coming up, and they've got some talent. I'm just trying to teach them the work ethic that Joe and I did.
Yeah.
Joe and I had and stuff. It was just only one way to do it. You either were in or you're out, and Joe and I were in. And that's the only way I know. So I'm not saying it's the right way, but I think to me it was the right way. So I learned from the best. I continued that on, and that I'm really proud of the team I developed. Joe had a great team. I was part of that. I'm really proud of the people that I developed and brought here. Most of the people here with me, and some of them have retired off, have been with me over 30 years. That doesn't happen nowadays.
No.
So I've got a great team.
Well, you've been a great leader too to them, and even and even to the townspeople with your all the recreation activities you've had. I mean, like, you've had every single year. I mean, I've seen the brochures that are put out by your office. I mean, there's like every year there's like over what like 100 courses, 100 activities that for all ages, as you said, even from birth. But Alex, so I wanted to know, so what led you to your decision, to retire at the end of this year?
Well, going back to Joe Trapasso, he had said to me, Joe worked to almost 72, 73. Joe had the energy of he just would. He raised 6 kids too in between all that, but he really went to another level with what he did. I mean, he built this from brick by brick and cinder block by cinder block, and by going out to raise the money,
he took donations from the public to build this.
He was more proud. They raised, I think, about $5,000 on a wrestling exhibition they had. And getting back to Wally Foote, Joe, and that's the story behind Wally Foote and Joe was that. Joe invited him on that first day that they opened up here. It was a wintry day, brought his wife in. And because Joe was on the Foote property when they were building Minnick Giordano, Danny Cosgrove, Giordano Construction. They were donating their machines to build the first Little League field in Branford. And he was on the property, and Joe just apologized, invited him to that. And when Wally Foote left that day, he says, maybe I can do something for Branford. And then fast forward to the late 60s, and John Sliney, who's Joe's father-in-law, was in. He said, "Joe, you sitting down?" He goes, "Well, what's the matter?" Bob, that was his nickname. He says, Wally Foote left his Foot Park and the property for to the residents of Branford. And back then it was probably about not even somewhere between $1 and $2 million trust. And I don't think Wally Foote ever knew it would grow to over 10 million, and that all those projects that have been happening down there now, when the bank felt they weren't in the business and all the trustees had passed, it went to the bank.
Yeah.
And the bank was out of Bank of America, out of West Hartford, and they actually Boston is their main office, but they kind of looked at it that they didn't want to manage anymore. So that's how it came. December 29th, 2015 is when the town took it over, and Joe would have been. And that's why the reason I'm bringing the story up is Joe was so instrumental in making that happen.
Yeah.
That just showed you.
He planted the seeds.
He planted the seeds.
In Wally
and
Foote's
Joe was
mind.
good at that. And that was an old strawberry patch down there. 44 acres later.
Yeah.
2 parcels of land on Old Pine Orchard Road.
Yeah.
Which we have improved with my staff.
I know it.
With
You've
vendors,
improved it tremendously.
Public Works, Bill Van Wilgen.
And also, all these improvements they've all been done at a reasonable cost, to the taxpayers.
Gary Zielinski and even First Selectman Jamie Cosgrove. And and look, I work for so many great people, starting back with Judy Gott.
Yeah.
I took something from all of them. Worked for Unc for over 12 years.
Yeah.
And Jamie now coming up to 12 years and I will say this, and I told Jamie this when I had decided to retire, that I never thought that I used to have Jamie in basketball and Gary when they were back here as kids, and now whoever knew that towards the end of my career I'd be working with them, and they have vision, they get things done, and projects were on the shelf and stuff that maybe weren't moved forward. And as you know, Branford does a great job as conservative as they are, in the Board of Finance, who's phenomenal. They've always been consistent all the years I've been here. Their philosophy is let's take care of our infrastructure and let's pay down our debt as we go along.
Yeah.
And that a lot of that does go out to, how fiscal responsible all the boards of finance were in those times, and the leaders here,
Jim Finch too,
including Jamie's grandfather. And that's the next point I mean. And especially in the last years, and actually, me stepping down, Jim Finch will be the longest serving department head now. I was, but he's taken over that distinction.
We've had him for 25 years.
Yes,
right?
correct.
And we've had you for 26?
32 years as a department head. Yeah.
So, really, 32 years you've been.
Yeah.
So really, that's I didn't
so
know it was that long.
So Jim is just over that, and
that's an amazing accomplishment for you.
And the point I made,
you've done a wonderful job.
I thought I was part of the Brain Trust. I'll tell you what the Brain Trust is, and I'm not. We've got great people on the Board of Finance, but it really came down to Joe Mooney, Jamie Cosgrove, and just remember, you're talking about bipartisan. Joe Mooney's a Democrat. Jamie is a Republican. You wouldn't know any different anyways. And then there's Jim Finch. So I call that's the brain trust of Branford with making those fiscal decisions. And
the Troika.
And Troika. And, obviously, it'll be a big loss if Jim retires. I know he's contemplated it, but he's got too much good work left to do, I think, and
I believe he just turned 61.
I think he's actually turning 63 this December. He told me, if I'm not incorrect.
63? Oh, really? Oh.
Yeah, so he's getting there. But I'm saying he's just he's just talented. So
very.
So I said to Jamie, in the last decade, I encumbered that the change. Change is good, as we say sometimes.
Yeah.
And I've always said that. So in the last 10 years, it's amazing the projects we did. I think the last one was I've been trying to drive the project down at the middle school for years,
at Walsh.
And I was really proud that we ever brought that. It took us a couple of years to get that. The Brain Trust jumped on with me. Obviously, I think they were sick and tired of hearing me talk about it, but it was great for the community. And what Jamie did in that time, he does things like this all the time. He took a look at what we had, and was why don't we take a look at the whole community? We took a look at 18 properties throughout Branford, the schools.
Yeah, that was the study.
The middle school being once right.
Yeah.
And 16 other ones. And that's just, I think it's
crazy.
coming out this next month so the public can see the final study, which gives us a footprint to move forward. So that's really big. So I was lucky to do that. And I was lucky in my mind to be able to make the decision. They always say that you try to get out on a high, and I thought I was going to leave. I've been talking about it a little bit. But I remember my daughter was up, she's a dance coach in Branford, and they won a double state championship. They were going to New England.
Wow.
And I went up there. My wife said to me, "We're not going to talk about you retiring, not retiring." I did that at a wedding the year before. I said, "No." I said, and it hit me. I was up there, it just hit me. And I said, "It's time." And we didn't have to talk about it on the way down. It was just done. And I had at that point, I said my date was going to be August 15th, that I would let my board know. 14th was that night. And then the next morning, Jamie and the HR and my board. So I shared that. But to me, it was time. And I felt I wanted to get out. There's still other projects to do. I got 5 years left of me to do this work, but I got a great team behind me, and I brought in a great assistant, Dale Izzo, who's been with me over 25 years. Victor Imitori. We do theater now. Colin Sheen came in. He's been here 5 years now.
I know. He's great.
And then Victor Imitori.
He's been here. He's been here since
35 years, 1990.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, and then our two administrative, we lost Monica, which was a big loss for us. She was 36 years. And
she retired?
She retired in February,
You also lost
Butch
Cody.
Before that, January 5th. So I lost, we're all aging out. And then the thing I was getting back to was, this is named the Joe Trapasso Community House, but the new generations now, the younger kids, don't know who Joe Trapasso is. That breaks my heart. Meaning that in 25 years, they're going to say, "Who's Alex Paluzzi?" It happens. It's just part of of life and cyclical how things go on. So, and it's fine. But I'm just happy that I was part of it.
Yeah.
I've always had a team concept.
Yeah.
Judy Gott started me with that team concept
Yeah.
back then.
She was great at that.
And Jamie's that way now. He's brought in some really good people.
Right.
That when people have aged out, he's brought in really good people that have foresight, that are talented.
Yeah.
Branford's really lucky. But I thought, let someone else have an opportunity. And Joe said to me, "Don't do like me. Retire at your full retirement age as close as you can, so you can enjoy some parts of life while you have your health now."
Yeah.
And knock on wood,
How many years after he retired at 72 did he live?
about 10 years.
Oh, so he had a good
83.
retirement.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
But what he was telling me, double that, basically.
Oh, 20 years.
Yeah, so I really listened to Joe. The only ones that would be disappointed, I think, are my parents, who I did go talk to them before
Did you?
at the
Yeah, I
cemetery,
know. Yeah, it's
the
true,
big
yeah.
losses. But you know what? Because my dad always said, "You have a great thing there." And my mom just always felt, my mom worked, my dad retired at 62, my mom's 72 like Joe. And that was fine, but it's just they'd say when you know, and it happened.
Yeah.
And
They
little did I know that same weekend I would retire from teaching at Southern, which I
Yeah.
love doing that.
I was going to ask you about that. So
Yeah.
currently now, so you're just retired, but right over the years you've been an adjunct professor there for what, over
21 years.
21 years,
yeah.
an adjunct professor.
And over 42 years, so it's like it's half the time I did that. I was a practitioner that did there, so I'm saying to myself, and I could go back. I was scheduled to teach a course next January, but I'm like, well, I really want to take time off to do nothing, just to really sit
That's
back,
right. Go back to
travel,
St. Martin.
do some of the. I'm going to travel a little bit with my wife.
Yeah,
and
Karen.
just
Karen.
do that. My daughter's getting married this October.
Uh-huh.
My
Yeah.
other son
No,
is
it's-
married, and there
you've
could be
earned
hopefully
it.
grandchildren in the future.
You
so.
have to live for yourself,
Yeah.
do things you want to do.
So, and it's not that. I mean, I had no reason to leave here because I have.
Because you love this
of who I
isn't
have.
work for you.
No,
you
no,
love it.
No, I do.
This is part of your life. This
Part
is
of
your
life,
life.
yeah,
It's
it
been
really
your
is.
life.
But
all these years,
so it's time
you've done a
now.
wonderful job. I mean, you've gone.
Yeah, thank you for the kind words, but I've got great people around me and a team, and that's what it takes. And I've always been strong about that. That's how Joe taught me, and that's how I brought on to, and I hopefully it pays off in the future, because we have enough talent in this department to just continue to move on. So, we'll see what happens. It's not going to be my decision on who takes over for me. I know we've been talking about combining this department for years. Dagmar, my colleague, had even more years than me full time. She was 44.
Really?
Dag, if I said it wrong, I'm wrong, but it's somewhere in that. And
The
we
town
start.
of Branford, she worked for 44 years.
Yeah.
Oh my! I didn't know it was that long.
She started in '78.
Well, she started under Matt Brady.
Yes, that was her mentor.
No.
She talks of him highly too. So Dagmar actually is. I think she's leaving next week, but she.
Oh.
But she, she put a lot of time in here and was the director the last bunch of years. And
But the thing was, Alex, right? I mean, in the old days,
oh, they were here, yeah.
right? In the old days, right? It was all combined because, right, as you walked in the front door of the old community house, on the left was the Golden Age room, and so it's another together again.
Dagmar was very, big about keeping her identity. I understand that. She was at Canoe Brook, and she actually brought the Canoe Brook name to the seniors. So as much as we are, so just to keep their identity, and that's what she wanted to do. That was her. That she was the director, and that's what she could do.
Yeah.
And we worked together, and we've took over some things, and we share both rooms and both floors, and we want to expand that going forward. So, like I said to Dag, with both of us going now is an opportunity, if that's what the town wants to do now, to combine to back like we were in the 70s.
Yeah.
Keeping our identities, don't get me wrong, but there's so many things that we do together now, and we utilize the same space.
Yeah.
And we interchange. And we've come a long way with that. Dagmar and I, with the meetings and stuff we have. So.
Besides, Alex, I mean, if you think about it, it's really the same program anyway.
Yeah.
Whether it's for seniors or for infants.
Yeah. But again, she's done her things her way for all those years, and that was her right, and that was her style, right?
Great job.
And she did that, and I know she's going to miss the people that her seniors, and that's rightly so.
She put her heart into her job too.
Yeah, and I heard a good thing. What I'm going to miss, though, and this is the toughest thing for me. I was just thinking about it last night. I was talking to someone. I'm going to miss the people that I affected, that I've been around. Just like you saw the gentleman there, he was the president of Little League.
Oh, really?
But I'm still going to be a Branford guy. I'm still going to be around, so I'll be able to cheat. I'll be. I mean, not cheat, but I'll be around those people because I'm a Branford guy and I like that.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to come back here to be on the board of recreation or to be on the senior citizen commission or anything like that. I'm going to stay on. I'm going to continue on the Branford Sports Hall of Fame, which Bill O'Brien and I started.
Yeah.
And that's another thing. I have a great board of recreation that's been so supportive, led by
true.
Paul Criscolo,
Oh, it's true.
Bill O'Brien,
Great guys.
Bimmy Hergert, Gene Crowley,
Yeah.
and Deb Conklin.
They've been on for years.
So you talk about a brain trust, and
Yeah,
I got
yeah,
the
yeah.
dream team as a board of recreation. I really do.
Yeah.
And we've done Bill O'Brien and Paul. We've done some great things. Paul and Bill were behind the scenes for this project at the middle school. They're the ones that built the first. They were in the first synthetic turf field at the high school back in the 90s on the sports council.
Yeah,
So-
at the time that was put in, right, there was some controversy as to whether we should
Yeah.
have it or not. But
Oh, yeah.
it was the right decision.
Yeah, so the Sports Hall of Fame, Bill and I were co-founders of that. I'm really proud of that.
Oh, it's wonderful.
And I'll continue to serve as chairman. Andrea Kenny Steady, who worked for us, too, also is involved, in her husband John. So we're carrying that torch now
Okay.
for the Hall of Fame. So I'm going to continue to do that. I asked Jamie to stay on the fireworks committee so I can keep an eye on him and Gary. That's just a joke. But no, just we work well together with that and stuff. And then the other thing is I was on the parade committee. Veterans
years.
Parade Committee. I'm still on that
You were the chairman.
in honor of my father who served in the Korean War. So I'll continue to be on that and help out. I'm the chief of staff now
Yeah,
of the parade committee.
parade.
So
How about the festival, though? You've been
so the festival, 40 years of the festival. So I am stepping down from the festival
after
after
40
years. And the corporate board this November, and let someone else have an opportunity.
Yeah.
I was representing the Lions the last. I'm a Lion member, so I'm going to put more effort in the Lion. And yes, I'll come back to the festival and I'll cook. I'll volunteer my time to work in the pizza tent for the festival. So, but stepping away, let some other people. So those are the things that I'm stepping away from. I just stepped away from the safety committee, which I was on the original safety committee, past chair of the safety committee in town, which I'm proud of. We've done some great things as a team. Now it's in the right hands. I got firefighter Kujma. I'm going to say it wrong. I don't know if he's a lieutenant or sergeant yet, but young Kuj, and also Jeff Kikasicki, who works at the counseling center with Peter and
Semino, yeah.
Peter
Yeah,
Semino,
great guy, yeah.
and so they're carrying the torch forward, and we've done some really good things.
What does the safety commission do?
So make sure that our employees are safe, that we're doing safe practices, our
I
buildings.
I see, like,
right.
yeah.
But it's going
There's
even
no
it's-
risk.
No, right. So it's going even forward than that.
Right.
Margaret Liberta,
Yeah,
and
HR director.
Jen and Anna, they all are part of it.
Oh, I see.
They're the ones that we've done it. We've got some awards for it and stuff. One of the big things that came out of it was, which really didn't adhere to that, but it's still part of safety, was, and if, I don't know if Frank can pan out there to the, if Henry can pan out to the basketball court where that sand pile is, you'll see a white and red box out there, which we have throughout town, and that was our rescue for actually brought forward from the Board of Recreation
I see.
to bring those out there, and they possibly, hopefully, will save lives in the future.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, Alex, I think you mentioned to me earlier there's some project out there on Hammerfield about to start tomorrow. So I think we're going to possibly move the camera over there so you can talk about that.
Sure.
But just before we do that, though, Alex, I have a question. So now you also didn't mention that, right? You were the past president of the Connecticut.
Recreation and Park Association, yes.
Now, right, that's a big organization that covers 122 towns, and you were the president of that for how long?
I did one term, which was 2 years. I also served as a president-elect for 2 years and a past president for 2 years. And I had 2 consecutive terms of 6 years. So I was involved for 12 years on that. And I'm really proud of the executive director. I was part of that decision to bring her in. We had a great one before that. But we brought Val into that, and we have flourished. So we were kind of at the crossroads of financially and all that. and we're really healthy now, and we've got even more members moving forward. So I was really proud of the work. And Joe told me to get involved with that, and I said, I'll never get involed in that.
Really?
But I did.
Well, look how it turned out.
Yeah, so I started out as a volunteer when we had, you might remember this, we hosted the Australians. I think you might have met them one time. We also hosted some of the Irish.
Oh, really?
And all the English, and we also we had some people also come over from France. So we were involved with hosting a lot of those countries,
Yeah.
almost kind of like the Brentford, England.
Oh, the sister city. I
Yeah,
know.
so-
you just went to Brentford too, right?
Yeah, I called you when I went through there.
I know.
Yeah,
It's
because my
wonderful to
wife
hear
is
you.
from Maida Vale.
It's right outside London.
Right.
It's right next to Heathrow Airport. I mean, if you should go over there, stop in and see it. That's our sister city, Branford, UK. Now, so all these people came, Alex, and also throughout the state because, right, you were known for what? Involving your fields.
That was
What
a
do you-
big part of it, yes, about
What
our
are you known
organic
for?
fields.
Your organic fields.
Yeah.
I mean, you're considered an expert, right,
I don't know
throughout
if
the
I'm
state.
an expert, but
Throughout the state and throughout the world as an expert on organic fields. Now you've been practicing that for how long?
for over 30 years, and I'll tell you what happened. So all my 32 years, how I got involved was through the town. They put me on the Phase 2 Stormwater Committee, and they were concerned about all the storm drains throughout town and the fertilizers that we were putting into the storm
Well-
drains, not thinking,
Well, yeah, and the reason for that is because when the sewer authority chairman for decades was Dan Cosgrove, Jamie's grandfather, what he insisted on, and this was different than other towns tied the sewer line into the wastewater,
correct.
So every time there was a flood or storm, all the water would all go to the sewer system. So what Mr. Cosgrove did, he says, no, we aren't going to do that. We're going to have, drains which are not going to go into the sewer line, right?
Correct.
So,
Yeah.
so that's what you were looking
Yeah.
at?
So I'm like, why are they having me involved? Because we were doing, regular fertilization through all the, throughout all our parks and stuff. And so I got together with a guy named Chuck Sherwood, who's one of our vendors still, who does our fields. He started we talked about, let's try this organic care. I actually went against a lot of my colleagues in the state. They weren't also, they wanted to do it as integrated pest management, which is like 50-50. I kind of went all in, and I kind of proved to them. I took some lumps on it for Woodard and that's fine. It's good to agree and disagree. And I showed the success.
You were the icebreaker, though.
Yeah, well,
Right, correct. I mean, there always has to be, one or more icebreakers for every new, event.
Yeah. And I'm proud of that because I said they could do what they wanted to do and keep that, but we practiced organic care in all our fields. Even the town green is organically maintained. Even up at a school where I don't have to do it by the laws, but at a school's, a great example was Patty's Park that Mr. Cosgrove gave to us as part of a school. But since it was part of school and school,
Patty Cosgrove.
yeah, Patty Nenninger Cosgrove.
Yeah.
And as much as that field was going to be given to us and we were responsible for it, we built Branford's first organic field back there in late 2000. And it really took to. And we've had people come from Yale University, all the way out from Chicago, from all over California, Florida, to look at our fields to see the study of it. And I also work with a pathologist, Dr. Jerry Silbert from the Watershed Partnership.
Okay.
So that was our dream team of organic care. Myself, Chuck Sherwood, landscaping, and Dr. Jerry Silbert. And here we are this many years later in 2024, and we're still utilizing the same care in all our fields. And I'm proud of that because, as you can see,
It's all green. There's no brown.
and we've had salt water on those fields for years.
Yeah.
And my guys have come
but
a
that was on
long way.
marsh.
Yeah, they're cutting so much better than where we did. We're cutting at a higher rate, which it does. We're also cutting a little bit more consistently. You'll see that out there now. You don't see any dead grass. It'll happen once in a while because it gets thick, but that's what we've been really successful with.
Okay, so I guess we're gonna. At this point,
Oh, the AEDs is what I didn't mention what it was. I'm going back on that. People say, what am I talking about to save lives? But the Board of Recreation, we came from Judy Barron, who was a cheerleading coach and involved in our community, came to me and said, Alex, let's, that professional football player from Buffalo had an incident on the field and everyone saw it on national TV. And so there was a lot of interest for that. And we felt, why don't we try to put AEDs throughout our parks? So we've got like 14. Most of them are out there now.
You do?
Even the schools. There's one up at the high school now. There's going to be one at the middle school at the new turf field.
Yeah.
And what I pointed to Frank out there, we have AEDs throughout the park system in town, so that if anyone has an issue and there's someone's there, they can do that. And they'll tell you that what a difference it was. A guy by the name of Mike Papali, who was in a recreation program at Wallingford years ago, had that. He's a spokesman for that. A guy named AJ Pace, who's a Branford guy, brought them to youth football. But now we have them at our facilities now, which is key, so that if someone is there medically or just a regular person can operate that.
That's wonderful.
And that gets 911 here earlier.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's great.
So that you're helping someone get that heartbeat back before they can get here. So knock on wood, we haven't had to utilize it yet, but I'm sure at some point we may.
That whole system that you put in, that's going to save people's lives.
Yeah, so that's one of my proudest things of the safety committee, even though that wasn't our responsibility because it's more on employees, but it's still the safety of our community and our facilities. And that's kind of what we did.
That's wonderful. Okay, I'm speaking with Alex Paluzzi Jr. He's announced his retirement as Branford's longtime excellent Parks and Recreation Director, and he has, he really has taken this department and he's turned it into an expanded program for all ages, and it's just been terrific. So there's a new project at Hammerfield starting tomorrow.
A few new projects, Frank.
A few new projects, excuse me. And so right now we're going to go over to Hammerfield. So stay with us. Around the Town of Branford continues with Henry and Frank. Hello, everyone. We're back. We're talking with Alex Paluzzi Jr., Branford's longtime and outstanding Recreation and Parks Director. He's announced his retirement at the end of this year. And we're right at the edge of Hammerfield. And you can see, an example of the organic field that Alex has been practicing here, as well as on all the parks for the last 30 years. And he's an expert, and people come from all over the country, to ask him questions, and he's a great consultant. Now, the Parks and Recreation Director, it's not a piece of cake. There's a lot of parks in Branford that have, under Alex's supervision, for many years, and I just want to go through the list quickly. Stony Creek has Bayview Park, the Branford Hills Park, which is Patty's Park, Branford Hills School, Parker Park, Branford Point also has to hire and staff and train the lifeguards. Of course, Foot Park. Now the green, when Judy Gott was first selectman, she turned over the the grounds of the Branford Green to Alex because she knew he would do an outstanding job, which he does. And that's become a park with the showmobile and the tables and the umbrellas and the chairs, and all summer long, all the great music down there. That's another park. Then, of course, we have Hammerfield that we're standing on right now. Pardee Park in Short Beach. It's a small park, but it's an extremely important park. Also, Branford Hills Park, the old Branford Hills School location. Then we have Brushy Plain Road, Veterans Memorial. So I think that's the list, isn't it?
Yeah, we still got there's a bunch more in there, but
I believe it.
There's a lot of other properties, all the town buildings, all the gardens in town comes under our purview. And like I said, I have a hybrid. We utilize our guys when it's not completely done. I do subcontract some out. We took over for GGB many years ago too. It got down to the fact that, okay, Alex will take care of that. But little did I know Johnny Appleseed, Gary Zielinski, would come forward as the director of Public Works. He's done a great job.
Yeah.
And Johnny Appleseed, he loves. I tell him, you keep doing all this work, but I'm getting the credit for it, Gare. No, he's done a great job in a lot of our parks again. So it's just, we've got such a great team effort from our, even the engineering department. I was working with Jen Aquino this morning, John Hofferly, and Kevin, who I'll talk about Kevin in a few minutes, one of the town engineers. But like I said, Jamie's has put a great team together, and it's really, I've been the beneficiary of a lot of their work, obviously. But one thing I want to you were talking about the grounds here, Frank, earlier. But I'm looking at the tracks, and I'm like, oh, speaking of organic care, I don't know if the camera can pick it up, but I'm looking at the tracks right now out there. Like a tractor was out there, and it was. So speaking of Chuck Sherwood Landscaping, we just did our summer fertilization, which is organic care. So organic care was, and look how good it looked before we did it. So we try to maintain that going forward. The only thing we ever found out about salt water, it kills weeds. That's the only good thing about it, But as you can see, everything is green out there at this point. And we have little bits and pieces of crabgrass, not much, because organic care overtakes it. It grows from the root system up.
So at the time they come, what do they put on the fields? What did they use for organic material?
It's organic. It's called Nutrients Plus, which is like a organic matter. And they also sometimes we use organic sprays. Not where a field needs help, we do it. As you can see, I don't think that field needs much help out there.
No, it doesn't.
And right now, we're really concerned because with the middle school shut down now, Branford youth football comes here every night. Mm-hmm. And we've got all types of ages throughout. We've got a full football field out there, and we're going to be building 5 soccer fields
here.
Yes, during lining them for the season that's coming up.
Oh, I see.
And we also have baseball going on, 2 ball fields, teen baseball, and all the way down in the corner we have youth baseball. We built a brand new 50, 70-foot field over the last 2 years. We opened it this past spring. So that's one of the things I want to talk about. All the way down in the corner, which used to be a softball field, that's a 50, 70. So it's in between youth baseball and teen baseball. Mm-hmm. The base is a little bit longer. So again, who built that field for us? It was a combination of Connecticut Irrigation, my guys, my staff, and Chuck Sherwood Landscaping, who rehabbed that field. So we put a lot of money into that. The money we had for field renovation, we get about $20,000 each from a year, which can go quickly to build that field. And we had our first season on there, and it's been great. We also replaced the netting up there. That was it was some holes in that at the time. We just did that.
Yeah.
So we made it as safe as we could for the businesses.
Came out great.
And the houses. And that was one of the big improvements that we made here.
Yeah.
And like I said, organic field. And like you would think if you thought of the field now, Frank, in football, we've had a lot of rain, which has helped out here. We have irrigation in all our parks, which you have to have all that. You have to have some irrigation, natural rain, organic care to make it, excuse me.
God bless you.
Thank you. To make it a field that looks like this. And it's going to get ripped up a little bit, we think, but I think it doesn't as much because we are proactive and we take care of these fields while they're going on.
Yeah.
So we're going to have that because all those sports that were happening down there in youth lacrosse and field hockey they're going to Foot Park field hockey. Soccer's coming here. Middle school soccer, which is a new sport, wasn't great timing, but that's what the superintendent wanted to do. Mm-hmm. Wanted to move forward for which is a great thing to give kids more an opportunity of the middle school sports, girls and boys. And
Dr. Tramberg.
Yeah, Dr. Tramberg. Yeah, did a phenomenal job. There's got to be a place for them to go.
Yeah.
When that middle school facility is done by early spring or late spring or maybe early summer next year and opens up by that school year, it's going to take all this pressure of all these other fields on there. So we'll have plenty, and I'm talking about every sport, youth football, soccer, lacrosse, field hockey.
So I just wanted to ask you, Alex, so for our next program, I wanted to know if it would be all right if we go to Walsh and to talk about that with you.
Yeah, that'll be great. We'll probably do it somewhere in the fall, and I'll check with the authorities
good.
to make sure. that we're okay to do that. But I mean, I would have loved to brought you there today, but I think it's kind of too early. Even though it's great, everyone is taking pictures and photos.
Oh, it's going to be great.
But I just want to do the right thing,
Sure,
to make
always.
sure.
You always do.
But anyway,
that's the only way to do it.
Right. But going back on that, so we're going to have 3 sports being played here heavily till the end of October.
Wow.
Early November.
And also, this is just grass. It's not artificial turf. So,
but it looks like artificial turf when you look
it's-
out there. So I'm really proud of what my guys do. You can see the end lines here
Oh yeah.
of the football field.
It's a green carpet.
And here's another thing. They get mad at me once in a while, but I cancel. I'm more sometimes reactive when it rains out. I try to get it in. But like Monday, it didn't really rain, but it poured later that night. We had all that rain that they had up in the tragedy they had up in the valley.
Housatonic, Route 34.
12, 15 inches of rain, 10, 12, 15.
It was a washout.
We had a lot here too. We had maybe a couple, but that's
Yeah.
so. You can still see some water residue still left on third baseline.
Yeah, I see that.
From the storms the other day. So they'll be out here this afternoon and tonight. Hundreds of kids, 100 kids out there playing football, from 4th grade to 8th grade, and then they'll play their games at the high school on Sundays. So that's when they play in the turf. So, and we also have Branford Hills that serves as a flag football field, which came out beautiful, which has irrigation in it. That's one of our best fields, which we thought that was going to be the last field that would come out really well. And in all these parks and stuff, you talked about the support of my board, of the Board of Finance, the RTM, the subcommittees. They've been so supportive over these years.
Yeah.
Because I think what they do, everyone says, well, how do you just get the money and all that? Look, I said, I'm really proud that we know the budget is $135 million. And it's almost a 50-50 range. Now it's getting closer to that with the schools and
the school and the town. Yeah.
But what I'm proud about is out of our budget is over $1 million now. We only hit that a few years ago.
That's true. It was always under.
And it's like 1.2, right?
Yeah.
But out of that 1.2,
it was a very small increase this fiscal year. It was what, 3% or 2.9?
It was less than that. Yeah, it was 1.9. I think ours
was crazy low.
But what I'm saying is, and there's times when you have to save. Sometimes, and we're going to be trying to increase some of those lines. But we've been lucky that my assistant Dale has been writing grants. Colin Sheehan writes grants. I write grants for the Foot Trust. They've been giving us hundreds of thousands of dollars. So you have to take out of the 1.2 million, that gets knocked down. So when you look at it, even if I took the top number, our budget is 0.6% for the whole town. And look at all we do.
Yeah.
And
it's
this is a credit to my staff.
It's a miracle.
The theater, and look what we do on the green. That's all our department. That's all us.
I know it.
And that's from guys like Bob Alvine that gave us a commitment of $150,000 for 5 years, $30,000 a year.
Subaru.
And Premier Subaru and Kia.
Yeah, Kia too.
Kia. And he came and just asked us what we wanted. I asked him and gave it to us. And we bring groups from all over the United States, all over the world. We have one coming here that travels all over the world. They're coming. They're coming the last week. We have one tonight and then one next week at the end of August. And all those concerts that we have in the greens, it's all. And I don't want to take away from just Bob. All these other volunteers and donations come from so many businesses in Branford. They really support us, all this business, and I don't want to take away from them. There's tons of them.
Yeah.
I don't want to leave anybody out, but someday we may be able to go over that list.
Okay.
But that's how we're able to do all this. We're able to do that stuff.
Yeah.
And, the Community Foundation has been great to us. So people, even theater, they throw money at us, and it's a great. I think when you show success, Frank, this is my belief. If someone takes care of a facility, just like the community center, I think that's what happened there, in the fields, and they know that we take care of it and we care about it. It's kind of like it becomes type of a thing like snowballs, but we can support that.
Yeah.
You're not going to support something because they're not taking care of things. That's my belief. So I've been lucky. And I probably, is one of my faults, I've honestly been like not asking for enough. And I've been proud of all the 32 budgets that I've always never been over our budget.
No, really?
If I was within a line item, I went back to, which I'm going Monday night to the Board of Finance to make some transfers, knock on wood. But that magic's going to run out someday. So I'm telling my board now going forward, put a little bit more money into overtime because we're doing so much now.
Yeah.
So and they'll support it. I'm confident they'll support it.
Oh yeah.
But I'm just proud of everyone to say you do all that for that when you think about it.
Yeah.
So, but that's my pitch on that.
That's
But
great.
anyways, let's talk about Hammerfield Grandstand. Who going back years ago, there was another one right to the right here.
There was?
Which used to be like where they served hot dogs and stuff, and we had equipment in here. There was another grandstand here, but it was kind of in the way. My board and Joe were going at it. So they got rid of one to make some more room here for the kids in the basketball court, and then this goes back to 1920.
Really? It looks new.
Next year will be 105. So the Lions Club, you'll see the line. Frank can see that line?
Yeah.
That line's been there since the mid-1980s when Vin Giordano, Jimmy Dornfeld, Doc Mandillo, they got a group of the Lions. My father was involved with them, and we had a fundraiser here with the RTM against the, it was the RTM against,
Board of Finance.
I don't know if it was Board of Finance or the RTM against each other, whatever.
Oh, yeah.
We had a softball field here
Yeah.
because it was a community effort. And they came in here and they redid the whole, and they left us their mark with the lion there.
I see. Oh.
Fast forward to a few years back, maybe about 6 years ago, we had a Eagle Scout project that came here and he kind of he did it, and he did all the outside and stuff. Our guys, we helped with replacing the roof. We replaced the fencing, and now we just did it just recently right now. And actually, GGB was out here helping us with the panels down below. There's one that chipped away. They're going to fix right now.
Oh, yeah.
But that's all, as you saw on site. So the last Eagle Scout project, they redid all the benches inside.
Really?
We even had the engineer department back in the day make sure that everything was safe. So this year we're going to celebrate 105 years old.
That's incredible.
That thing. And people utilize it now to get out of the sun or to sit there, and all that was done. And they kept it, as you can see. They painted it. They came back to finished paint. So a phenomenal job. Another Eagle Scout project. We just dedicated this back about a month ago.
Did you? It's
a couple months ago. Yeah.
Came out wonderful.
So I just want to talk about that and what the Lions did for us. Everyone's really good to us.
Okay.
And then this basketball court. If you want to start here, well, why don't we just pan out? Did you pan out to that field out there? That way out in the corner, Henry, if you can. And thank you, Henry, for being patient with Frank and I. I know it's tough with him and I here. We're throwing you all over the place, but it actually looks towards the eel pot, which is now actually Tommy Sullivan's.
Tommy Sullivan bought that.
You can see the Irish flag out there, so
yeah.
I got to get in there sometime. The last day that I work here, I'm going there right after I'm done.
Are you?
Yeah, to have a celebratory Guinness.
Yeah, that's on the. That's on what? 1231.
Guinness is like medicine, They use it in hospitals over in England and Ireland. They really do. I'm being serious. But anyways,
I know it.
But look, getting off the subject, but down in that corner was that 50-70 league that's in between youth baseball and teen baseball. And we opened it up, and they'll be playing they've been playing some fall games there. And so we're going to have a lot of activity here. That's a full football field out there right now. That's going to be 5 soccer fields for the kids starting September 7th. I think their opening day here is September 14th with food trucks and entertainment. And then if Henry can pull towards the middle, you'll see a red porta potty out there, signifying Branford, so that people can pick up where it is. We have one on both ends, and there used to be right where that big tree is in the middle. That used to be and we had some tree work done here. That used to be where Hammer 2 was. So we used to have 3 softball fields. Hammer 1, 2, and 3 in the main diamond.
Yeah.
But now we've turned that one into. It used to be a regular high school field. Now we turned it into a young field because we want to make sure that we can utilize that field to get the most use out of it.
Yeah.
And then you come all the way over, Henry, to the corner. That's Hammer 1, which the kids use. It's a regular softball field. It's also a practice field for youth baseball, Little League baseball, and also for the school system here for kids and all our camps and stuff. So we had close to 300 kids in camp here. Hammer Field's one of our main areas. We actually have another camp going on this week. We have 2 more weeks of camps. After our regular camp, we have Lego, we have some scientific camps, and this is our time to come out and play right now. But as he moved over to that corner, back in the day, way back in that corner, used to be horseshoes back in the day. So we're going to try to bring horseshoes back there.
Wow.
And in between these trees, Henry, if you come to the middle, at the end of the parking lot, in between those trees where there's some shade, we're going to kind of clean that whole fence line up. We're going to do we're going to bring the canopies up on the trees, and Public Works is going to help us. I'm not sure Gary knows, but I'm trying to get it done pretty soon. Actually, Kevin, who I talked about from Town Engineering, is going to scope it out. So either where those other two trees are, up here towards the parking lot, in between those two trees where the shade is, we're going to put 2 bocce courts that we were trying to do for the seniors here.
Oh, nice.
We were going to do it up where we bought the house on the property, but we thought it was too dangerous close to the road.
Yeah.
It's more open down there. Yes, we get water once in a while, but it drains well, as you can see.
Okay.
And we're going to put 2 bocce courts there that the Eagle Scout Project, they're going out looking for some donations from Branford Building Supplies. They've always been good to us.
Yeah.
Giordano Construction. Also,
used to have those over at the old Canoe Brook.
yes. So we're bringing 2 here.
Yeah, there's
We're going to put
only
some park
one there,
benches out there.
Wow, yeah.
And
That'll be great.
that's going to get started somewhere in mid-September.
That'll be great.
And hopefully be done by mid-November is our goal.
Yeah.
And before I leave, I'm trying to get that done. And if they're not done, at least they'll be close to it. So we're going to do that, get Public Works there, take that out, put the surface down there, and then they're going to build 2 courts for us, the Eagle Scout Project.
Wow.
So I'm really proud about that we'll be doing that.
Jeez.
And then as Henry comes all the way back up, if we can now go towards this playground, the outer part of this playground, Henry, if you don't mind. And we can move over here, Frank,
Yes,
if
sir.
you want. Maybe it'll be easier for Frank because he's shaking his head at us now. So, Henry, if you can look at, you see the sand pile right here in the playground, the kids on the playground. What we're going to do here is we're starting tomorrow. We're supposed to start today, so we're not that far off. You see the sand here. The sand is, so years ago we had FIBAR, F-I-B-A-R, which is, it's mandated for safety servicing. It's the best there is. Followed by fiber that I'm going to talk about in a minute. And then the last thing, and then there's poured in place, which is really expensive. The only place they have poured in place is down in Indy next school right now. But it almost costs as much as the equipment costs. So we're trying to keep costs down. We put fiber here, but the problem was when we had a rainstorm and it drains great here, the fiber went all the way down there to Meadow Street. It went flying. It went that far to those fields. So we lost a lot of it. So it wasn't. We were replacing it. It cost a few $1,000s. So we said we got to put a stop to it.
Yeah.
So we put sand in as a temporary surfacing. We have sand here to level this out, and what's going to go in there is we're going to have, it's a lot more cost effective. It's these pads, surface pads that are rubber.
Oh.
So they'll put the sand in here, they'll put the pads on top of it, so it'll be safe for the kids when they fall, come off the slide and stuff.
That's wonderful.
So it's the next best thing to FIBAR and actually put in place. On the outside of that playground, we're expanding. We're putting a couple more pieces in here. We're going to where the picnic tables are. We're going to bring those in. Out in that area by the picnic tables, we're going to put another piece of equipment for handicap accessible kids. We're going to make a pathway on the outside of the curb, and I'll show you when we walk out. That's going to come down to go to this piece of equipment. It's a spinner, so kids can get on it, but a kid on a wheelchair can roll down the sidewalk, make it handicap accessible, get onto that spinner, and have joy.
Wow.
So that's what we're doing, and that'll be the last part of the project, and that should be done. Again, we've got a couple months to do that. I know it's bad timing with school, but we don't have much of a choice. You know how contracts go, and
Yeah.
there was state money involved in this,
I got it.
and getting everything together. So that's we're going to put a couple more pieces here. So that's what we're doing here for the improvement.
I got a couple questions, Alex. So
And
now,
that's 10 years ago we put this in.
I know. 10
When
years
Jamie,
ago.
Jamie was here, we opened it up.
Yeah,
Remember.
right. It
Uncle
his
was
first
Uncle
year.
was the first one in 2013 from Compan, and we've gone all over town with this type of Compan structure.
Yeah, so-
We went through, and we didn't decide it. The residents, moms, PTAs, they decided on the equipment that we're putting in.
No, so I got a couple questions. So over there, Alex, that's what the kiddie corral was, right?
Yes.
That's what they
Going
call
back
it.
to the Joe T years in the 60s and 70s.
And then
80s.
also over there was the skate park, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
skate park was in Parkland. That was for about 20 years. And so back when Joe was here, the 60s and 70s, he had this in the kiddie corral,
Yeah.
2 playgrounds. Then you remember we had the RTMA member says it was dangerous, and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
But we had that in 1990, so
Yeah,
it was 30. It was so 1990, 2000. So that was 24 years later. We replaced this, and this has been 10 years, and look, it looks brand new still. So
No, I know
it's,
you-
it's a
you
great
got-
equipment, and this is where our AED is. The AD
Oh
we
yeah,
put,
I
which is
see
very
that. Yeah,
visible
no, the
from
red
the
box,
parking lot for the field.
the box.
And
Now,
the last thing, and then I'll let you talk because I interrupted you, Frank. I'm
that's
sorry.
all right. No problem.
But just on the basketball court right here, the basketball court was slated to get done this Monday. We're going to try to pull it off. We're going to redo this basketball court because I still have trucks coming in. They're going to have to come around, which I think I can work. I was trying to. It's easier when they come across there so they don't damage it. But we might have some equipment in here, so I'm going to have to quarantine this off. So that's our only way to get here. They're going to have to come in this way, and I think we can work it out. This is slated to get done, redone, right way crack repair. We already got the PO out. We're going to have it done next Monday or two. It'll take a couple days, and they'll paint it, and then school opens on Thursday.
Wow.
So that's our goal. It might be a little bit after, but we're trying to do it right now. So we're redoing that. So I mentioned 1, 2, 3 projects. And then also on top of this, there's going to be a black fence. This is all going to be replaced, black fencing going all the way down there to protect the fields from balls coming in and all that.
That's
and
wonderful.
we're able to maintain the beautiful trees here. So that's on our plate just here at Hammer to try to get that done before December 31.
That's wonderful.
That's my goal.
So a question, Alex. So now, I mean, if you look over there, you can see one of the big old coke or coal chimneys, right? So that was the old MIF, the Malibu
Yes, sir.
Iron
Yep.
Fitting Company. Now, in its heyday, that was the biggest employer in town, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was owned by Torvald and his wife Lucy T. Hammer.
Hammer, yes, sir.
So my question is, how come they call this Hammer Field?
Because of Lucy T. Hammer. She's the one that said when they were doing work there and they were getting rid of all their fill and stuff like that. I mean, you'll find doors down below the field here, doorknobs, which I have one on my desk right now. So they filled in Hammer Field. There was a stream that came right through the middle of the field. There's a stream that came through here. So they filled it in back then in the 19 teens, and then built this grandstand. And then Hammer Field served as the high school because the high school used to be here.
Yes, yeah.
The high school was here to '58, so back in the '50s, the home games were here.
Well, also,
Branford High
Alex,
School, in the Branford Laurels,
well,
a semi-pro field.
Also,
team.
Alex, the high school here, which right, it's now the John Slaney Elementary.
Yes, sir.
But that was the high school, and it was for what, Branford and Guilford, right?
I'm not sure. I
Yeah, it
think
was
you
for
might be right.
Guilford.
Yeah.
Guilford had their students come here to
And
Branford.
the home field I remember coming here as a kid, and I played youth football here, but I remember coming watching high school games here.
Uh-huh.
No, I shouldn't say that. I mean, my parents did, not me. I was born in '58 when the high school was built, and the last graduating class was here. They used to have double sessions, and when the community house was built, Joe used to help out with those, with the PE classes and all that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And so, like it says, there's also Lucy Hammer. They filled this whole Hammer Field, and it was like a swamp. Other than the river, it was just a marsh.
Yeah, that's right.
It's built. All our fields, a lot of them are built on salt marshes, so they
Yeah.
settle, and you have to work with them. And we built Hammer Field up over the years.
Yeah.
The last time we built it up was 1990 with a grant that we got from the state of Connecticut.
Really? Oh, that's right.
So that's kind of what happened here, and it's a beautiful. And the Branford Laurels
It's
is
a work of
semi-pro
art.
field. Yeah, and the high school team has played high school games here over the years in baseball, and now the middle school utilizes this field for baseball. So.
Yeah.
But Frank, I
thank you.
think I covered Hammer Field as best I could for you, buddy. And Frank,
you
thank
did.
you so much. I know I've kept you here long.
Well, it's all
And,
good, though.
We're gonna get back in September, maybe.
Yeah. We'll
take a
do,
look at the
we'll
middle
do
school.
Walsh. But that's a fantastic
Yeah.
project going on
I'll
down
talk
there.
to the authorities first.
Yeah,
and then
you got to clear it. Yeah.
But Frank, thanks so
Yeah,
much.
well, thank you too, Alex.
I know I was going on and on, but once I get going and I think about the history, I don't want to leave anything out. But there's a lot of history here. I'm proud of what Joe started here. I'm glad of where we are now, and I know that'll continue on.
Absolutely. So as we wrap up, just to mention it again, I mean, Alex has tendered his retirement, and he's going to be, not really leaving us, but because you're always going to be a presence and you're always going to be involved, but he is going to step down as our full-time Parks and Recreation Director at the end of December. And
I've been honored. I've been honored to serve. It's always been a passion of mine, and I try to be the best I could be.
You have.
And I put my heart and soul into it.
You did.
And effort, and that's all I could do. So I feel good about that. I've had a great team. It'll continue on. Great talent up at Town Hall now. You know, and I think still the best is yet to come, as they say. You know.
That's going to be hard to. That'll be hard to do, though.
But I'll be around on the outside looking in, like
Yeah.
I'll be a regular citizen like you, Frank, and
Oh,
Henry.
that's good.
Right, Henry?
That's good.
I'll be a regular citizen. But thank you again.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you too. Thank you for being with us, sir. So I've been speaking with Alex Paluzzi Jr., Branford Park and Recreation Director. And so for Henry Pond, until next time, I'm Frank Tuhill. Goodbye.